everyone. Good morning. I have a poll up. So answer the question for me. How's everyone today? So I have a poll question up. Everyone respond because I'm curious. It will help us kind of assess some information on how we shop. So answer the poll question. Welcome in YTTC. Jess Lynn, Deals for Steals, Vondem, Judah, Kristen Collection, Teresa Sales, Mama D, RN Mama, Vintage Chick shared our stream. Thank you, Vintage. All right. Good morning, Moxiana. How are you today? Ange is here. If you can see the poll, please answer the question so that we can get a decent result. So my question is about what percentage of your shopping do you do online, including groceries? So if you do your grocery shopping in person, then that would, lower your percentage. So everybody answer that poll question, kind of get, just about, give me a good idea of what you do. Moxie's doing spooktacular. Awesome. Welcome in, Terry Tick and Jody. And who else did I miss? I think I got everybody else. Welcome in. All right. So far, 0 to 20 is winning, which surprises me. But we've only got, let's see, 6 or 10 responses. So, all right. Let's keep it up for a minute. You can shrink it by pushing that little arrow up and it'll shrink it. So if you don't want to keep looking at it, if you already responded, just shrink it. Good morning, Bloom Essentials. How are you? Hey, Deb for Casey. How are you? So everybody respond to my poll. And let's see what everyone's responses are like. Shipping supplies, welcome in. All right. So far, 0 to 20%. Tarnished Teacup is here, stitching flock custom pillows. San Chi Tea is here. Welcome in. Please answer my poll question so that we have an idea of what people are thinking about shopping online. I'm curious, and we may not be the best representation of the people who mostly shop online, but we definitely are part of, the phenomenon of so much more shopping being done online. So, all right. Yeah, I'm the same way, Bloom Essentials. I don't love online grocery shopping, buying produce and meats and stuff like that, because I want to be able to pick, what I want. And so that's a tough one. So, but I do see more and more and more people going down that road. And I think a lot of people will do their fresh produce and their meats at one place and then buy all their dry goods somewhere else. So interesting. And yes, Lynette, that was my thought too. It keeps you on a budget because so many of us, when we go into stores live, I mean, it's like I'll walk into a Walmart or something with the objective of like 1 or 2 items and leave with a cart full that cost me $150. So it is kind of nice if you online shop, it kind of prevents you from doing all of that, you know, shelf shopping or whatever you want to call it, that visual. Oh, I need that. Oh, that looks good. Oh, I want to try that. It prevents you from doing all that. All right, interesting. We still have 0 to 20% in the lead, but when you add up The rest of them, those exceed 0 to 20. So we've got, let's see, 7 there, and then we've got another 7, 8, 9. Okay. Interesting, interesting, interesting. And I know we're a small group, so it's hard to judge the percentages, but yeah. Yeah, I still like interacting and seeing people too, although I admit that I've become a germaphobe because I feel like whenever I get colds or sick, it's because I went grocery shopping. It is hard to buy clothes and shoes online, agree, because I want to be able to try them on. But I know a lot of people that just Amazon shop and try it on, return it. I think that's a pain, but my son is one of them. He and his wife, but they're in their late 20s. That's all they do. I don't, they shop for groceries, but they mostly shop for everything else online. So it's the worst thing to do for the environment. Yeah, their house is like Amazon box heaven. If I ever need shipping boxes, I just call them and say, don't throw them away yet. So, yeah, agree. It can be for sure. You bought your daughter Amazon clothes for Christmas and they all fit and looked at me. Well, that's lucky. That's very lucky. For business supplies, I prefer to shop online, but for clothes and groceries, shop in person. Okay, there you go. Hey, Sarah, how are you today? Welcome, welcome. All right, so interesting poll results there. Let's see, 8, 9, 10. So we're still at 22, more than 70% is leading the 0 to 20, but it's about half and half. So honestly, about half and half when you look at the statistics there. So interesting. All right, welcome in. Yeah, shopping online is the future. We're 10 years behind on what's a $300 billion economy in China. Yes. So interesting things to come on whatnot. I want you to do an experiment. When you go to the For You page, I'm trying to remember how you navigate it, but somehow you can go to, you just click down at the bottom, categories. I want you to go explore categories if you haven't lately, because when you originally signed up for Whatnot, whatever ones you picked as the ones you're interested in, go look and see what's now available and follow a couple of new categories. You'll be shocked at what's out there now if you haven't looked lately. So, because you're very narrowed on the categories that you've chosen to follow, especially if you have just a few, and go look at all the categories that have been added. It's amazing. So, all right. So, I am actually headed to China in June. So I'm excited. I've been to China 2 more times. Previously, we're going because our daughter was born in China and is adopted, and we've been trying to go back to take her for a homeland tour for years, and it just kept, life kept getting in the way, and then COVID hit, and you know how that goes. So we are going in June, and I'm very excited to see changes. So the first time I went to China was 1999. And in 1999, everyone was still wearing Mao suits. Very few people had cars. And the economy was very much just tight government control. Stores were mostly government stores. And then when we went back to China in 2006, it was a completely different place. I was shocked. So it's interesting because although China is communist, they have embraced capitalism, embraced it. It's amazing. And yes, that statistic is true about the economy in China. And so the news yesterday about them, kind of backing off on the tariffs, that's going to be interesting to see, how that all plays out. And yeah, I mean, you really have to accept the fact that China really does control to a certain extent our global economy because how much of the goods of the world are produced in China. And if you've never really kind of looked at, I don't know, it's mind blowing to go to China because for several reasons. One, the antiquity there, you can feel it. It's one of the oldest places on the planet, and you can tell when you go there. It's amazing. Two, um, people are, I almost hate to say this because it's not true in my mind at all, but I think a lot of things in China revolve around the fact that people are a commodity. And so you go there, and there are cities. There are cities in China that you and I have never heard of, if you haven't, been there or whatever, that have more people living in them than, I mean, forever. You would not even imagine how many people live in some of these cities that you've never heard of. It's mind blowing. So, yeah. So don't ignore China. Let's just put it that way. And the people of China are amazing people. Amazing people. The people who rule, not so much, but the people of China are amazing. So, all right. That was my poll. So we're at, I'm going to take a screenshot of the results so that I have them. Let me just save that. Interesting to see, kind of what people's thoughts are about online shopping. If you're here selling, you're part of the online shopping phenomena. Okay. So interesting. All right, let's end the poll. Hey, welcome in the Thrift Chic Boutique. Let's see. I love how they clapped back when tariffs were going up and saying how the US should pay back its debt to China. Yeah. Yeah, the whole global things going on are interesting. It's kind of interesting to watch. All right. Let me end this poll so that we can kind of have our screen back. And if you wanted to take a screenshot of that, hopefully you did. Okay. Interesting information. Okay, I wanted to talk about that because one of our topics this month that we're going to talk about is pricing strategies. That's what we're going to actually talk about tomorrow in person. So make sure you have that show bookmarked. And we're going to talk about pricing. We're going to kind of talk about why people are here and what can you do to capture, a better audience, keep an audience, and how pricing and strategies for pricing work into that. So make sure you have that show bookmark tomorrow. All right, everybody read the show notes and make sure you have those screenshotted for the information that's in there. I do multicast on YouTube. So if you want to watch past shows, you can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and click on the lives, and you can watch my past shows. Japan is amazing. Japan is amazing. I've been to Japan as well. It's the cleanest, most polite country I've ever been in. I haven't been to Singapore, which I've heard is similar, only even more extreme as far as cleanliness. So, anyway, very interesting. Asia is interesting for sure. All right, let's talk about what you guys need. So, yes, I want to go to South Korea. I'm actually going to be there briefly because we're flying through Seoul, but it's just a layover. Like, I don't think we'll leave the airport at all. So, I'm kind of bummed about that, but I'm also excited just to kind of, even though it will be the airport, just to have a little bit of an experience in Korea because that's one of the places I've always wanted to go. So, there's a YouTube, a lady on YouTube right now that is pretty much daily releasing new videos, and she's an escapee from North Korea. I don't remember the name, but it's fascinating to hear her story of how she left North Korea. No, I haven't been to the Doha airport. So tell us about it. Let's see. I went to a Japanese private school for my junior high in Mexico. It was an amazing experience. Oh, in Mexico. So it was for Japanese students living in Mexico. Wow. Wrap ourselves. Thank you for the raid. Welcome in. How are you today? Oh, most luxurious airport in the world, I bet. That sounds amazing. Airports are like a micro city in and of themselves sometimes. All right, let's take questions. What do you guys have questions about? What do you need help with? If you're here, you are trying to, build your business on Whatnot, and you're either newer or new and trying to do good things on Whatnot. So tell me about what's going on. What are your struggles? What's going well? And what feedback do you have, or questions do you have? Welcome in, Trish. How are you? Plus and Fab, welcome in. Maxwell, welcome in. Daisy Lane, thanks for joining. All right, so let me talk about one thing, which is if you'll check out my auction tab. So if you just click the shop, so anyone brand new, the shop, see it just says shop right there. Does it look the same on both iPhone and Android? It just says shop. Click that, and then you can see that you've got the choices for auction or buy it now and some other things. Make sure you're in the auction, and I've got 8 items in there, and all of those are tips and tricks and cheat sheets and all kinds of things. And I don't ever run them as auction items. They're just intended for you to be able to click on those and screenshot all the information. Okay, so make sure you go through my auction tab and look at all those different things while you're in the show and screenshot all that information. Okay, and the one that is kind of proprietary to me is the one I just pinned, which is Draz Top 10 Tips for New Sellers. I just put in a document all of my tips for sellers that are the things you should be doing consistently to help you have growth. Okay. So Jade says, I had my first show last week. I own 2 antique malls, so I didn't struggle with sales, but shipping. Okay, so shipping. Yeah, shipping it's not hard. I'm going to tell you, it is not hard. It's hard to figure out how to set it up correctly for what you sell. So the thing that you want out of my auction tab is that one that is, where is it? Oh, you know what? Did I not get this one in there? No, it is in there. Choosing basic shipping settings. It's the second one down in my auction tab. Let me pin it. So choosing basic shipping settings. All right. There are 1,000,006 people out. Well, not very many. Some people out there who do shows on Whatnot just specifically for shipping. I have mixed reviews about what people's advice is. Okay? Because a lot of them try to mix it in with how to grow your business. And shipping is a part of that. But when you're new, you need advice for how to even get off the ground. You don't need advice yet necessarily for how to manipulate shipping to help you, succeed. You need information just how to ship basics, how to set it up initially, and then you can kind of figure it out from there. So, this is how to decide how to set your shipping settings from the beginning based on what you sell. And honestly, that is the key. It's based on what you sell because what you sell determines how you should set your shipping because it's a little bit different for everybody who sells different things because of how Whatnot bundles. Okay. So other platforms don't really do bundled shipping, so to speak. I mean, you can go on the Bay and you can maybe buy a couple items, and if they have their shop set up for it, it will sort of give you a discounted rate. Or you can message the seller and ask them to, bundle your items and give you a reduced rate. But on most other platforms, the difference is people aren't going to live shows and buying a ton of stuff all in one show. And so, honestly, the shipping on here is complicated because of what you have the ability to do, which is to buy a lot of stuff in individual shows, which is an amazing thing because you can do a lot of, shopping in one show if you like what they have. It just is difficult on the back end to figure out, okay, I had no idea what anyone's going to buy. Now that they've bought, how do I ship it? Okay. So that document, choosing basic shipping settings, please screenshot that and use that as your guide to kind of decide how you need to set your shipping. And then once you start growing, you can then manipulate that to be a little bit different. And honestly, if you want exponential growth on here, you do need to, kind of manipulate it and see how you can possibly offer reduced shipping. Because the best way to, have exponential growth, other than, just doing all the normal things from a shipping aspect, is to be able to offer some kind of reduced shipping to, enhance what you're able to offer. All right, so Tarnish says, true, I did my first sale Saturday and did okay with shipping, but used 4 out of my 5 adjustments. Did not have to pay any extra, so that was good. Yep. So, and you should be able to do that 99% of the time. If you have everything set up correctly and you know what you're doing with your shipping, you do use some of your adjustments, but you shouldn't be out of pocket because you had it set up correctly for what you're going to sell. All right. And then when you start selling in huge volumes, pretty much this goes out the window. You just offer a set flat rate and you offer reduced shipping and you pay out of pocket for a lot of the shipping because your volume offsets the fact that you're having to help pay shipping. Trust me, it works. Trust me, it works for a lot of people. So, can you give an example of the adjustments? Okay, so so you have someone come in, you have your shipping settings set for flat rate. Let's say you have them set for flat rate. on both 1 to 5 pounds and 5 pounds and over. And it's been working good for you. And then you have someone come in who just absolutely loves everything about what you're doing. And they buy so much that there's no way in heck you're going to fit it in a flat rate box. That's a good problem to have. They just bought so much that you can't fit it in a large flat rate box, right? So then when you go to ship, you have options. Option one is, let's say they bought so much it's going to need 3 large flat rate boxes. You could unbundle it into 3 separate orders, put it in 3 separate flat rate boxes. That's going to use 2 of your adjustments. Another option is to get a bigger box and turn off flat rate and then put the box dimensions and weight in there, and it ships Ground Advantage in one box all together. So just, you just kind of have to play with it and see what's going to be the better option. So either way, the first scenario uses 2 of your adjustments because you've got 2 unbundled orders. The second scenario uses 1 adjustment because you're now switching to Ground Advantage. Okay, so that's an example. I want to know if I'm doing it correctly. Do I need to generate a new label for each package? Well, every package will have a label. So every package you send obviously has a label. So clarify, what do you mean by generate a new label? Do you mean, so it automatically allows you to just click generate labels? I never do that. I go in and verify everything and generate a label after I save the dimensions and everything, if depending on what I'm using. If you're using flat rate boxes, the only thing you have to do is pick the box, and then you don't have to change anything else, weight or dimensions. But if you're using Priority or Ground Advantage, you do need to enter the box size and the weight. So, so if you have more than 1 box. Okay, so let me reread that. Let's see. So I want to know if I'm do I need to generate a new label for each box if I have more than 1 box? Yes. Yeah, if you have more than 1 box, every box has to have a label or it's not going to be able to ship. Do I pay the difference for the 2 extra boxes? Only if you have used all of your adjustments. So if you've used all your adjustments, that's when you have to start paying out of pocket. But as long as you're still within your 5 adjustments for the week, those are covered. There are a few things that are outside the adjustments, however. So if you add insurance, you pay for it. If your box size is so big that it's outside of the covered boxes size, then it will start charging you. So you do have to keep your box size on Ground Advantage under the maximum girth, which is, I used to have it memorized. Someone help me. It's, let's see. I think it's the total, this plus this plus this can't be more than 130 inches. I think that's what it is. So if you measure all the sides, so the height, the length, and the width, and those are more than 130 inches, then your box is too big. 1728 cubic. Okay, so there you go. All right, so I made the mistake and put in a baby's outfit in the wrong box to someone else, and then I had to pay for shipping to send something else to the customer. Okay, so yeah, that's one way you could handle it, but probably the best way to handle that is if you'll message customer service with the order number and the customer name of the one that you sent the wrong item to, they can generate a label for you to give that customer to send it to the correct customer. So try that. So 130 girth for Grand Advantage. Yeah, 130 inches. So I was right on that. Okay. So, and then for, for flat rate, you're just picking the box. So that's fine. And then for priority, it is the 12 by 12 by 12 or less. So whatever that's 1728. Okay. Yes, I am walking. I don't know how well I always wonder, am I really getting effective exercise? Because I'm very focused on talking, not so focused on how far I walk and how much, I have to remember to like increase the speed and stuff every once in a while. But I am walking, yes. All right. So dumb question, but do I make adjustments after the show or do I have to do it during the show? So there's really nothing you can do during the show to packaging or shipping. So the adjustments are something that you're doing on the back end. If when you go to ship, you have to unbundle or change the type of shipping that is being used to send a package. Okay. So if I have more than one box for the same customer, you have to have a label on every box you send. I mean, it's got to have a label showing it's paid for and who it's being sent to, right? So, all right, I made a mistake. Oh, I read that one. Okay. Let's see. What do you recommend for just starting out? Is there a specific amount of items I should have in a first show? Also, do you have to pre-list every item? Okay, first question. Is there a specific amount of items I should have in a first show? No, there's not a set thing, but I would say you should have about 20 to 30 items that you have pre-listed and that are ready to show, because that will give you about an hour's worth of items. And then when you stay on past that first hour, you can always rerun the same items, because the people, when you're new, most likely the people there for the second hour are different than the people who were there the first hour, except for your mom who's being nice and watching, right? So you can always rerun items. And I highly recommend having 20 to 30 items pre-listed. And then you need to have some generic listings that you can use to sell items that maybe you pull that you didn't have pre-listed, so that you don't have to enter them as you go. On your basic shipping setting sheet, I noticed that you reference line 5 and 6, and then later 10 and 11 are those lines from my previous form. Let's see. Are these lines from my previous form? All right, let me look at my sheet. Let's see. Oh, you know what? It numbered it wrong when I put that in there, because you know how it pre-numbers things. I need to fix that. So the large, bulky, fragile should say, if you answered yes to both all the questions in the 1 and 2, it should say 1 and 2. So then you need to, so yeah, I'll fix that. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, because I think what it did is when I numbered everything, it started the numbering over and I forgot to change that. So I will fix that. So it should just say 1 and 2. If you answered yes to both 1 and 2 in large, bulky, fragile. That's what it should say. All right, I will fix that. Yeah, that's all. It just, I screwed up on my numbering. Is it hard to run a show by myself on just my phone? So, number one, bargain hunter. It depends. Honestly, it depends. There are some people who have the ability to multitask like I can't even believe. And so they can do it. I would not be able to do that. My brain kind of goes to mush when I'm live. When I'm trying to focus on what I'm selling, I can't, do all the other things as well. Very good. So it just depends. So if you're the type of person that is able to really, keep things organized, multitask, and do it all from your phone, go for it. You aren't going to be able to ship with just your phone. And also, the dashboard for running a show on the web version of the app is so much richer with tools that I always have a laptop to run my show because you can see so many more things on the screen and, really get a grasp of what's going on in your show better. So I prefer to use the phone to stream my show, to go live, and then use a laptop to run my show. And then my husband helps me, and he is in the background on another phone monitoring the chat, modding the chat. And then he also keeps us organized because I hand him what's sold. We do a bin system. So everybody that buys something gets a bin. It makes it easier on the back end. The numbering system is great. And if you don't have help, use the numbering system. And what that is that as you sell items, if it's not a specific listing and you're selling random pulls, it numbers them for you. So, item, Dana's best items that weigh 5 to 12, or 4 to 7 ounces. If once you start selling, it numbers the first one you sell in any given show, number one, number two, and so on. So you just plop a number on there. Okay. Bigger sellers who don't pre-list items and they just sell everything under the same listing, that's how they do it. So everything just gets a number. Maybe they have 2 or 3 listings, depending on if it's lightweight, medium weight, or heavy. But a lot of sellers sell everything at the same weight. And they do that because they sell in big volumes. You can't do that as a new seller. You'll get screwed with shipping. So you've got to know what you're doing based on what you sell until you get to a certain volume. And I don't know when that's going to be. That's going to be determined by you. Because once you make a switch from selling by, specific weights to a volume, you're going to take a big hit on shipping until, you get it all kind of settled out and know how it's going to work for you. Um, this is if you want this to be a business, then it's going to work like a business if you're going to grow and you're going to take some losses. And not, you don't necessarily have to take huge losses if you are smart about how you do it, but you're going to take a little bit of losses on the back end on some shipping and some other things to allow you to get to that point where you can go bigger growth. So it just depends on what your goals are. Okay. I still sell by specific weight. We're doing this full time, but we're kind of in that almost retired age group and in the 55 plus community. And I don't want to have to hire employees to run my business, at least not right now. That's not my goal. unless I have some family members that want to join. We want to just run this by ourselves. And so if I go too big, then I have to hire employees. Do I pre-list all of my items? No. But I do try to have at least some things pre-listed so that there's something to see. I think it's important until you are, once you get a certain level of, notoriety or popularity or whatever, people need to see what you have to offer because they aren't going to stick around if they open your shows and you have nothing and they don't know anything about you. Why would they come? Okay, so you've got to have something to show. You've got to have things in your shop. You've got to have things in your auction tab. You've got to have things in your buy it now when you're new so that people know what kind of things you sell and why they would want to come and shop with you. Okay, go look up some of my shows. The beautiful thing about listings is that once you create a listing, you never have to create that listing again. Even after it sells, you can go back into your inventory and duplicate it and reuse it, change the photos, whatever you need to do. And you can list it in multiple places. You can change it from an auction item to buy it now. You can change it from buy it now to auction. You can have it available in your 24/7 marketplace shop or not. So once you list something, it never goes away unless you delete it. Okay? When items are pre-listed, how do you go to the next item without entering auction timer again? Well, there is a run next feature, but I wouldn't use it. It does not work very well. It's glitchy. But you can just go to the next item. If you're staying on that, if you have that item pinned and you have multiple units, you just run it again. So if you're running, a generic listing that's items that weigh this much, then you can just keep running that same auction as long as you have multiple units in there. If you need to go to something else that you have listed, then you just pull up that next item and run it. Okay? Because the auction timer starts when you run that item. So you do have to manually run. If you use run next, you can, but you don't always know where it's going to go, honestly. How does pre-bidding work? So someone goes into your auction and puts a pre-bid on an item. So for example, in my auction tab right now, I don't have any items that are, legit items. But if you wanted to pre-bid, see that little, I just pulled it up on this phone. Let's say you wanted to pre-bid on my choosing basic shipping settings. You just click that little pre-bid button and then you tell it what you want to pre-bid on it. And then as a seller, if you're on the web version of the tools, you can actually see what your pre-bids are. That's why I encourage people to use the web version to run your shows, because you can actually click it. Otherwise, you just open the auction tab and scroll through your items to see if there's any bids. So if there were a bid on that item, it would show you how many people have bid on it in a number. So that's how it works. And then once you run that item, it automatically goes to the highest bid as the starting price. Okay. So if two people went in, let's say you had an item listed for $5, you had someone come in and their first bid is the $5. So they pre-bid, and they're willing to buy it for $5. And then a second person comes in, it forces them to bid higher than the first person. And then when it starts, it's going to start at $6 or whatever the second person put in. And then when it's live running, multiple people can then continue to bid on it. And the pre-bidder only wins if they continue to bid higher than anyone else bidding. If you have a pre-bid on an item, it is a guaranteed sale. So make sure you're pricing your items correctly and don't run it if you're not willing to take the price of whoever pre-bid on it. So let's say you have an item and you were hoping it would get bid up, but your show's not going well. You don't have an obligation to run your pre-bids necessarily. If your show's not going well and you know that item's not going to get bid up more than the one pre-bid that it got, you should have priced it better, meaning you should have priced it higher. But you don't necessarily have an obligation to run that. You can say, if someone requests for it to run, you can say, I'll run that when I get multiple pre-bids, or I'll run that when, I've got enough people who are saying they're going to bid or something like that. You don't have to, there's no obligation for you to run it. Okay. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk a lot about that tomorrow, about pricing strategies. I think a lot of people are mistakenly think that in order to be successful on this app, you have to start everything at a bottom dollar, $1 or something, because there are a lot of successful sellers who do that. But trust me, they didn't get there by, they had to build a following. They had to get to where they have hundreds of people in their shows, or, at least enough that they know will bid it up, because you can't afford to sell things for $1 because you only make 33 cents or whatever it is, like 30 cents. Who can afford to do that? Nobody. So you have to have, a big, big, big audience to be able to do low starts. And it's not a really good strategy for anyone new to do that, because you're going to sell too many things for $1 and be really discouraged because you lost a lot of money. Now, can you do dollar starts? Yes, but you got to do them smart if you want to use them. All right, so that's our topic for tomorrow. Make sure you have that bookmarked for tomorrow. My show tomorrow, I will not be on the treadmill walking. I'll be in front of the camera, and we'll be doing some giveaways and talking about pricing, selling formats, and pricing strategies. So it's that show tomorrow. And I'm doing it at 7 a.m. Mountain Time. So that's 9 a.m. East, 6 Pacific. So hopefully that works out for you. And again, I do multicast to YouTube. So if you look at the show notes, my YouTube channel is there. Go subscribe, and you can watch the past shows under the lives on YouTube. All right. Any other questions or things you want to talk about? Did I answer successfully, or at least enough, everything that everyone asked so far? Hopefully, if I didn't, please, state it again, put a question mark on it so it shows up bold. And make sure you go in the auction tab. Make sure you go through all those documents in there, because there's all kinds of cheat sheets and little sheets with advice about different things. And then the show notes, that's your best friend. Those starred bullets in the show notes, number 2 and number 3. You should be utilizing Whatnot Seller Academy. Go there, go through all the videos, all the tutorials, and then use help.whatnot.com. Go there first. Do all that first before you come on here to seller chats. Why? Because every seller chat is, limited to what we can do in a seller chat. You need to go take all the tutorials And when you have a question about something on Whatnot, go to help.whatnot.com, type in a topic. It'll find you all the articles that have that topic in them. And more than likely, you're going to get your question answered. And, you won't have to come and ask questions on here. What you should be getting on here are all the tips and tricks about how to do things a little bit better, because the information on the Whatnot Seller Academy and on help.whatnot.com is going to be very generic. It kind of has to be one size fits all how to do things. And then you come on Seller Chats to get the enhanced version of how to do things, if that makes sense. All the things that it doesn't necessarily tell you all the tips and tricks about. So, but definitely make sure you're utilizing those resources first, then come to these Seller Chats for all the extra info that will help you. All right, let's go and pin my top 10 tips and just kind of briefly look at those. If you haven't screenshotted these before, make sure you screenshot that. Just tap the picture, tap it again, take a screenshot. I call these jokingly my 10 commandments of what you should be doing or what you shouldn't. I think there's a few don'ts. But anyway, 10 commandments of how to, what the things that you should do consistently on here to kind of get you off to a good start and then to continue to be successful. And I can't, there's no magic pill or whatever to how to be successful and whatnot. It honestly is, what are you willing to put in? What's your goals? And do you do what you need to do to get to that point? It's a lot of hard work. My husband and I do this full time, and we work harder now than we've ever worked before in our lives. But the beauty of it is we get to do it from home and we get to be our own boss. And we get to decide when we take downtime, when on vacation, when our shows are going to happen. It's the flexibility and the control is mind-blowingly awesome. So if you want this to be your full-time gig, you've got to put in the full-time effort and full-time hours. And you may have to do that slowly, depending on what your life situation is, but it can be done. We owned a business, and I did a part-time job when I first started doing Whatnot. And within a year, we sold the company. I quit my job 6 months later, my part-time job 6 months later, and we're 100% full-time on Whatnot. It's our only income. Now, do I have other platforms that I still keep available and live? Yes, and you should. If you're a reseller, you should always have, other baskets, so to speak, because you never know what's going to happen. I don't think Whatnot's going to have any problems anytime soon, but, always keep options open. But this is the best thing there is out there that I've found. The opportunity for you to come in and grow and be a full-time reseller as fast as you want to do it is there. I know sellers who have come on the app and within 6 months, their premier status, which means you're selling, at least $50,000 in sales within a 3-month period. Okay. There are millionaires selling on Whatnot. A lot of them. Go read the articles on the Whatnot blog, which is one of the starred bullets in my show notes. And the blog gives you a lot of information about how people are doing, tells you a lot of statistics about categories and what people are doing on here. Okay. It's all about what your goal is. And I would highly suggest that you write it down. What is your goal right now for being on Whatnot as a seller? Is your goal, I have a hobby and I'm passionate about it, and I just need to sell a little bit to support my hobby? That's 100% okay. And if that's your goal, wow, how much fun is that? It's so fun, right? Maybe your goal is, I need extra income. And so I want to make X amount of dollars a month to supplement my income. Write that down. Write down what you need to achieve it. You're part time. And if you're okay with that, that's great. You know, what if your goal is to shoot the moon and you come on as a seller and you want to be, you know, premier status or whatever, a financial goal by X amount of time? Write it down, start doing the things you need to do to make it happen. Okay. So it just depends on what your goals are. And don't compare yourself to other people. Other people have different goals. Other people have different things they sell. Other people have different expenses than you have. Try really hard not to compare. And I know it's hard, trust me, because I'm the queen of trying, you know, to not compare myself to anybody else. So I'm right there with you if you're bad at that. But you know, you focus on what works for you and what's important to you and what's going to help you achieve your goals. That's important. Okay? To make sure you're focused on what it is for you and not worrying so much about what someone else is doing. All right? Now, we do need to, you know, watch what other people are doing that are being successful and, you know, gather tips and things that we can do to improve our own business. That's smart. But don't compare yourself and your life circumstances and your situation to anyone else, because everybody's different, everybody's unique, everybody has different things they're doing. So, yeah. And welcome everybody who's joining. Please make sure you have tomorrow's show bookmarked. I will be in front of the camera. We're going to be talking about pricing strategies and how to kind of figure out what's going to work for you. So selling formats, pricing strategies, stuff like that. That's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. And we have a new document that we'll share that talks about that. And it has, you know, all the different strategies you can use, all the different tools that Whatnot already offers to help you, you know, sell things and how to help you figure out how to price things. That really does make a difference if you know kind of how to price things and how to start things off. All right. So, yeah, if you can come in tomorrow, great. It's 7 a.m. Mountain Time. It's on my schedule for tomorrow morning. And it's a little bit earlier than I normally go on, that I have a little raid train that I'm doing right after. So I had to kind of schedule it a little bit earlier. I wish I could use ManyChat for this platform. Is ManyChat like an add-on app? I don't know what ManyChat is, so kind of clarify or tell me about ManyChat. Is it something that you can like download the chat? All right. So we are multicasting on YouTube. Oh, it's an app that can answer DM messages and so on for you. Oh, okay. That's cool. So it goes out and it's like an AI that goes out and finds answers. All right. All right. Read the show notes. Make sure you have those screenshotted. Welcome in if you're joining. In the show notes, I do have my YouTube channel. It's Draz on Whatnot. If you go subscribe, you can watch past shows there. So if you missed something or you were unable to watch on one of the days, you can go there to the lives that are on on my channel and rewatch previous shows. Oh, you write the answers. Oh, okay. I'll have to look that up. So many chat. MANY chat. Many chat. Okay. So so you can write the answers to things and then it will drop them in the chat. Is that kind of how it works? Okay. That's cool. So so there's all these commercials out there lately on where have I seen them? Like on Facebook and YouTube for um mini classes that you can take for people. They're specifically targeting people over 40, saying that there's teenagers out there using AI to do businesses and everybody over 40 needs to go take this class on AI to learn how to utilize it. And it kind of cracked me up because, yeah, it kind of cracks me up because it's like all they're doing is showing you all these different apps that you can use and kind of how they work. And I'm like, I think I can handle that. Just go search those things up and learn how to use them. Um, but I will tell you, AI can be your best friend, but at the same time, it's there's some detrimental things about it because it can make us really lazy. So be careful about AI and making it and using it in a way that enhances what you do instead of, I don't have to do this anymore. I'll just use whatever AI says. That may hurt you because your ingenuity, your creativity, your ability to read the room, so to speak, is still more intelligent, still more powerful than anything AI can do. So, because there are certain human intuitions, I don't know, that you pick up on that AI is not going to pick up on. So, use it for what best serves you and what you can use it for. And honestly, the best thing I found to use AI for is images and graphics because I can create something on AI that there's not a million years I would be able to create it because I'm not artistic enough to draw it. I can come up with the idea, but could I draw it? Heck no. And also I love using AI to organize to help me. It's kind of like getting a group of people together and saying, okay, let's brainstorm an idea. And if you tell AI kind of what you want to brainstorm, it's like it goes out there and gets ideas as if you had 100 people in the room who were shooting ideas for a different thing, a specific topic or something you're trying to explore. And it does it so much faster than you ever could. So use AI to enhance and help you grow, but don't use AI because you're lazy, if that makes sense. I use Canva to do all my thumbnails, and their AI feature on there it was a little bit clunky. It's gotten a lot better. And I just love that I can make these beautiful thumbnail images for my shows using AI and do something so much faster than I would ever be able to create. So, I mean, and mine probably aren't the best out there, but if you look at my schedule and look at all my shows, all of my thumbnails, and I have a new one for my walk and talk that let's see, the first show that has my new one is on the 27th. So that's my new walk and talk thumbnail. The other one was just kind of generic, right? So anyway, all my thumbnails were created on Canva using the AI technology. So if you want bright, fun thumbnails that are attractive, use AI to do that. And there's other apps besides Canva. Anyway, that's just the one that I've been using. All right, let's see. Yeah, thumbnails. Yeah, the thumbnails on Canva. Yeah. Let's see. I set up ManyChat to send a link in DM to a person who wants to go to my show. I put the video for the show on Instagram and tell them to comment a specific word, and ManyChat then drops the link in their DMs. Oh, okay. So I'll have to go check that out. So let's see. I set up a chat, send a link in DM to a person who wants to go to my show. I put the video for the show on Instagram and tell them to comment this word. ManyChat drops the link in their DM. Oh, okay. That's very cool. So Don says, I work full time, so this is very helpful to stay off my phone at work. Yeah. Good morning in a violet world. How are you? And the West Coast, Contessa is here. Welcome in. Thanks for joining. So everybody read the show notes, please. And please network with each other when you're in my shows. I think that's probably one of the most important things you can do in these seller chats is to start networking with people in the chat. Follow each other, bookmark each other's shows, find out about each other. You're all in a position where you're newer or trying to grow, and you can really help each other by, just giving each other advice, giving each other follows and bookmarks. And often people have met in these shows and then become kind of like besties on Whatnot and really help each other out. So kind of do that kind of stuff. This Whatnot really is about community and about socializing and about lifting everyone up to be successful. And I think that if you've been on Whatnot long enough, and I will have been selling on Whatnot for 3 years in November of this year. So I've kind of been through the gamut of all of the major changes and the growth. The biggest part of Whatnot is what you can do for each other and how you grow by the people that find you, follow you, support you as buyers and sellers. So it's an amazing platform for that if you want to be part of it. Do I use OBS to stream? I do not. I have looked into it multiple times, and every time I think I want to go down that road, I back off because I feel like what I sell doesn't necessarily fit the OBS kind of feel. because OBS allows you to do a lot of fancy things. It allows you to, split the screen. It allows you to do graphics. I sell fabric and craft items. I just haven't felt like it's going to really enhance what I do. And a lot of OBS is glitchy. So, but if you think it's going to enhance what you sell, then great. Definitely look into it. Definitely utilize it. If I do end up going with it, it would be because I want to do the, show the main part of the screen on my products and then have the picture of me up in the corner. But I honestly find that distracting myself. So I'm on the fence about whether OBS is going to work for me or not. So yes, OBS is good for people who don't have iPhone so that you can multi-stream another way. I agree. How do you sign on with multiple devices? Well, you just have your account, signed in on whatnot on your multiple devices. So have your phone on the app signed in, have your laptop or your computer or your iPad signed in on your account. So like right now, just doing this little walk and talk, I have 3 devices signed in. I've got the phone I'm streaming from right here. I have an iPad that I have on the dashboard of my treadmill so that I can see the screen a little bit bigger. And then I have a second phone that we use as our mod phone because it's an Android. And I like to see what's different on Android. So it's just an older phone that we kept that doesn't even have cell service, but it's logged in on my husband's account. He moderates, and that's the phone we use for mod. Which one do you go live on? The phone that is streaming. So this phone, the camera is where you go live. So you can have it open to the show on all your devices, but go live from the phone that is the camera. That's important. So go live from the phone that is your camera. And most people use a phone. It's really clunky to use a laptop or an iPad as your streaming device because they're not as portable. The cameras are not as good typically. And, it just works better to use a phone as your streaming device because you can stick it on a stand, on a tripod, whatever works, and it's much more flexible. Yeah. Let's see. How do you add items to rehearsal mode so you can practice running items? All my items are in my live show, but I can't access them in rehearsal. I think rehearsal is just that. You need to use the one that is called a practice show because that one is actually a show, or it's a private. Is it called practice private? I don't remember. But the one that is either practice or private, you can actually pull items in and run them. Yeah, private stream. There we go. So that one's a little bit different. That one you actually are a live show. It's just that nobody can attend unless they were specifically invited. So you can invite your friend or your mom or your spouse or whatever, but then nobody else can come in, and it allows you to practice running a live show. Yeah. So just go live. Very easy. Just press go live. Yep. All right. And I'm in the Build Your Own Vignette raid train tonight at 10:15. Awesome. Lily Lane is in a vignette raid train. Everybody give her a follow and go bookmark that show that is tonight. So Build Your Own Vignette. Here we go. Everyone bookmark that show. Very cool. Got it bookmarked. That's a good one to talk about, raid trains. How do you find raid trains to get on? So you find them by networking. Honestly, that's the short of the long answer is network. But the broader generic way would be to go out to the For You page and just type in the words raid train and find shows that have the word raid train in the title. And those are raid trains. Watch some of them. Sometimes the person who organized it is right on the thumbnail. And you can reach out to that person and ask if you can join their next raid train. You know, obviously look for ones that you would be able to participate in. Oh, thank you, Lily Lane. That was very generous of you. Thank you for the tip. Um, you know, but honestly, networking is the best way. So that's why it's so important to make friends on here with sellers who are in your same category or in cross categories or whatever that, you know, can do those. There are some people that do raid trains regularly. One of them is the Red Rooster. So the Red Rooster, she's in Canada, but she runs two different raid trains that are consistently. She does one that's $5 on the 5th, and one that is thrift to gift. And you can just message her for the links, and you know, you just have to find out that. Oh, thank you, Don. Thank you for the tip. Appreciate that. And then there is the one that runs the big one that's on the 25th. Let me go look it up. I can never remember when I want to find that. So the one that's like the best of whatnot. What is that one called? Anyway, her name is, she has a really long name. So I can never remember it, but let's see, C, like ECG. I don't know. Does anyone know her name? Anyway, she took over for OMGYG. And so she does the the big one that they do on the 25th of May. That is like the best of whatnot or whatnot. They have a big W on there. Anyway, so you can look those up. Are you able to add giveaways before your show or only during? Oh, you should add them before. So yeah, no, you can add them on your mobile device. Let me show you. It's really simple. Okay. So here we are in this show, right? But let's do one in a show that's not live. So I'm going to go to my schedule. So here's my show that's scheduled later today. And I'm going to click on that show to open it. And then I'm going to go to my shop. I'm going to just click my shop button. Okay. And then I'm going to scroll over to giveaway. And then you just push the add button and you create a listing just like you do other listings, only it's a giveaway. And so I'll create one. So I'll hit create, you know, anyway, and then you put it in just like that. And then you select whether you want it to be a follower giveaway or a buyer giveaway. So it's that simple. And I would always do it before, excuse me. And buyer giveaways have to be entered before anyone buys anything. Otherwise, no one will be eligible for that giveaway. So you need to have it enter before the show. Okay. And yeah, you can do it just right on your screen. You don't even have to be inside the show. I like to add things inside the show because then it already knows you're adding it in that specific show. So just open your show, go to either auction, buy it now, or giveaway, whichever one you're wanting to add an item to, if you want it specifically for that show. All right. You're welcome. Lisa by Design has a show on the 18th, 11 a.m. Eastern, flea market finds, primitive and vintage. She always has really cool stuff. So make sure you get that show bookmarked. Let me click on her profile and show you Lisa by Design on the 18th. Flea market finds. She always has beautiful thumbnails too. Thumbnails. Let's talk about thumbnails. All right, we are a very visual society, and we have the attention span of a gnat because of how much technology we use. And your thumbnail is the way people will find and bookmark your shows. So as much as I think your dogs are cute and your yard is beautiful and your mountains by your house are gorgeous, don't use that as your thumbnail. If you're selling pet products and you're featuring something on your dog, then yeah, use your dog as your thumbnail. But otherwise, you should be showing on your thumbnail what you're selling. Give people an idea of what you have. It can be a live picture, it can be an AI generated picture, but show people what you're selling. And if you become your own brand, so there are some sellers on here who they are their brand. They can sell anybody anything because people just love them. They're a celebrity basically, and people will come buy from them just to buy from them, even if they don't need it or want it. Then you can use your face. But until then, show what you're selling so that people know what you have to offer and why they would want to come to your show. Okay? So Dawn says, I have a show scheduled tonight, but I keep pushing it back. Yeah, I was talking to you earlier about that. So let's check your profile. All right, so you have a DSAS show scheduled today at 5:25 p.m. Why would you not go live? Tell me why. Give me your list of lame excuses, because that's what they are. Okay, just do it. Probably it's going to be like most people's first shows. It's hard, it's frustrating, it's scary. You may or may not get any sales, but there's going to be only one time that you go first. So why not just get it over with? Okay. You've already done a ton of preparation, right? So why not just press go live and do it? Okay. Honestly, that's kind of the thing. You just have to rip the band-aid off and do it. Okay. So yeah, do a private show so you can figure out all the buttons and how to run things, and then just do it. Okay. So as soon as you get off of here, do a private show and invite a couple of people that you know on the app to come and do it with you so they can give you feedback, help you run through the private show, and then just do your show tonight. Okay. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of people have legitimate, anxiety or stress or fear or all of those things. But we have that about all kinds of things in our life, right? And in order to live life, you have to get past that. You have to do whatever it takes to get past it. If you want to drive a car, you have to take, either take the class or study the manual and then go take the test, right? Or you're never going to get a driver's license. So if you got a driver's license, you managed to do that, right? So, same thing. Look up all the information, go through all the tutorials on Seller Academy, come to seller chats, figure out how everything works, and then press go live and just make it happen. Okay. It's just like all the other aspects of your life. You have to do whatever it takes. If you have a job, you somehow went to a job interview and survived that and got a job, right? So what do you need to do to make it happen on here? Okay. So In a Violet World says, my biggest regret is avoiding going live for so long because I was scared. I missed out on so many opportunities. Don't be like me. In a Violet World, exactly. 100% exactly. And that was my biggest regret too. And I only delayed for a little bit. So I was approved to go live in August of 2022. Okay. I waited until November to do my first show. Big mistake. Big mistake. I mean, I started watching, I started doing some different things. I bought a little bit, too much, all those things. But when I first found the app, I applied as a seller. I wasn't just a buyer, I was a seller. I was approved. And I waited because I just wasn't quite ready. I mean, I was running a company and working part time, that was part of it. But I wish that I had just gone live because I missed out on 2 months of exponential growth. That was during the time where it was even fewer people. I'm one of the original sellers in my category, you guys. One of the original sellers in my category. And if I'd gone live a few months earlier, who knows, right? So don't do that. Yep. So she was approved in April, went live in July, then waited to October to do your second show. Yeah. So you guys don't wait. Don't wait. Yeah. And congrats on being an OG. I didn't even know I didn't even know I was an OG. I just went live and started finding, there were really only about 5 or 6 people selling in any kind of thing, fabric, crafts, sewing, quilting. There was only a few of us. And honestly, most of those people are gone. Most of the people that were the OGs with me then, there's only a few around. So, do what you need to do to just make it happen. Yeah, and you do lose momentum. The fashion algorithm is right. If you go live, Upcycled Chef, thank you for the raid. Appreciate that. Everybody give Upcycled Shed a follow. So if you go live, have a show, and then you're like, oh, that sucked. I can't do this again. And then you wait and don't go live again ever, or don't go live for months, you lose any momentum you had. Yep. So, you've got to be consistent with all the things that you're supposed to be doing to have continuous growth. Okay. So Dawn says, my sports fabric sold pretty good. I sold half of it. God, that's awesome. Congrats. Let's see. There are many sellers who started out at the same time as me that blew up and are doing amazing. Yeah. And again, don't compare. You're yourself, they're themselves. Everybody's on a different trajectory. Don't beat yourself up about it, but, bring your best self to the table, make it happen. And again, write down what you want out of it. Write down your goals and do the things that will meet your goal. All right, top 10 tips. I just want to really briefly share this again. I have that pinned. Make sure you screenshot it. These are the things that if you want consistent growth, you need to be doing every single day. One, schedule shows. Why is that my number one tip? Because that's how you get found. You have shows on the schedule that people can start seeing coming up and bookmark them and look at who you are and what you're selling. If you have no shows scheduled, you have nothing. Okay, you're just another person with a profile on Whatnot if you don't have shows scheduled. Okay, number two, go live. Schedule shows and go live. It's that pretty much that simple. And then the rest of this just builds on that. List items, have items listed. People need to see what you have to offer. And until you're Mr. Popular, you have to have things listed. Some sellers who are so popular, you might say, well, they don't have much listed. Yeah, because they're their brand and there's someone that had a bunch of stuff listed for years and now they are the listing. They are Mr. Wonderful, Mr. Popular, Mrs. Whatever, Queen Bee, and people go on to their shows just to see them and they'll buy from them just to buy from them because they are a celebrity now. Okay, that's not us, right? We're not there yet. I probably never will be. I sell in a niche category. Um, and I do have some very faithful customers who have been with me from almost the beginning who still come into my live shows, but I'm not in a category that is, common enough that everybody's going to shop. I sell in a niche category. Maybe you do too. So have a realistic goal for what you sell. Okay. But list items so people know what you have to offer. It's like going into a brick and mortar store and there's nothing on the shelf. What's your assumption? Oh, they're closed. They went out of business. They have nothing. I'm out of here. Okay. If you go into someone's profile who's supposedly a seller and they have a show scheduled, but there's nothing in the shop, nothing in the show, what do they have to offer? I don't know. I'm not sticking around to see because they have nothing. Okay, you got to have things listed. Okay, stay live. Stay live for at least bare minimum 1 hour. That's the bare minimum. And you really should stay live for about 3 hours for your first shows. Because that's how you get found, is being live long enough for people to find you. Okay. That's number 4 tip. Number 5, get feedback. Make sure you have good lighting, good sound, good internet connection. People can see you, people can hear you, they can see your stuff. That stuff. Number 6, run your items, don't just show them. Don't make the mistake of sitting there showing items and saying, let me know what you want me to run. You're hardly going to sell anything, you guys. Run items. That's how you sell them. It's running. People are like, that is so cute. I want it. They bid. You sell it. If you just show it, people won't say to run it necessarily, or they might occasionally, but you're going to sell a heck of a lot less if you wait for people to ask. So always be selling. Yep, agree, Moxiana. That's a good acronym. Okay. And it's a better one than the most common one, because the most common one that was coined by Corey Max is RTS, which has a bad word in it. So that's a better one. All right. Raid. Always raid when you finish so that people are that you're networking with people. You're showing you're part of the community. You take your audience to another show. It gets you shouted out. It gets you recognized. And it will help you build it will help you build your following. It will help you get bookmarks for your upcoming shows. And it shows you're part of the community. Join raid trains is number 8. Number 9, know where to get help. And number 10 is be engaging. All right, so make sure you have my top 10 list screenshotted so you can use it to help you. All right, Violet says, I still struggle with pricing. Made some buying mistakes, so sometimes take a loss. Any tips for smart buying? Yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow ad nauseum. So pricing and sourcing and how to price things, how to buy, how not to buy. We're going to talk about all that tomorrow. There's a new category on Whatnot that you may not be aware of. It is called pallets. You can now buy pallets on Whatnot. Be careful going there. Don't go there if you're not ready for pallets. But yeah, sourcing, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about pricing and all that tomorrow. Another good app for the video for your show is CapCut. They have templates you can just fill in pictures for and change the wording. So another good app for the video for your show. Oh, to put a video on your show, use CapCut. That's Dawn's suggestion. Let me just see. On your profile, Dawn, do you have a show that has one on it that we can see? I'm looking. So do you have any videos on your shows we can look at? And by the way, let me bookmark some of your shows coming up. So here's Dawn. And she is Wool, Flax, and Careful Hands. She's been quilting for 20 years and needs to destash. Anyone who quilts, trust me, they have more fabric than they will ever be able to use in their whole life. So Wool, Flax, Careful Hands. Very cool. Hospital employee trying to start a side business. Awesome. What do you do? Are you a RN? Are you a, what do they call those other people that are, I forget. My son is an RN. So very cool. So yeah, add one for us. I'm curious to see how it works. So, because it's formatted. I put videos on often, but I just take little clip videos and put them on because it's, your video can only be like 10 to 20 seconds. So I haven't done anything super fancy with them. So very cool. Let me know when you have it up and we can go back and look. Yeah, let's see. So I'm just scrolling down to see if I missed anything here. Let's see. Including the individual designer fabric items. Oh, you guys are commenting on things she has listed. Okay. Oh yeah, people were talking about generic listings. So I think it's important to have generic listings because, and I think it's important to have specific listings. I think you should have a good mix of both so that people can see what you have to offer, but also you have listings that you can just use on the fly to run items that you didn't have listed. I think both are important. Hey, Farmhouse, how are you? So I just added the video that I made with CapCut to my next show is this Saturday. Okay. All right, so let me just go back into your profile and let's look. So the one that's on Saturday. Let's see if it's going to pop up for me on this phone or on this iPad. So the one on Saturday, the 17th. Yeah. Oh, there we go. So she's got a video on here. Oh, this is cute. So it's doing like the little things. It flips through different pictures. Yeah, that's pretty handy. So there's a good tip for everybody. So that app called CapCut is how she created this little video that's on her thumbnail. Okay. Yeah, it looks amazing. So I'm going to have to go check that out. So very cool. See, that's what's amazing about these shows is everybody has, different things they know about and can share in the show. And now I need to, let's see, I need to scroll back and take a screenshot of where she mentioned CapCut, because otherwise I'll forget. I'll be like, I'll think I'm going to remember what she said, and then I'm not going to remember it. So cap, is it all one word like that? CapCut, like I just put in? Okay, so I'm going to screenshot that so I will remember to look that up. Very cool. All right. Yeah, I've been using just, taking little videos on my phone and posting them. But I like the idea of being able to do it more fancy like that. So we did a raid train last month and we have it coming up again. They haven't put the video together yet, but I'm guessing that's probably what they used because it looks similar. So to what they used on that one, that demo and create raid train that we did last month. It's coming up again on, let's see, what day? On the 22nd. So that one, there might actually be a few more spaces available. I don't know if they filled it all yet. But if you're a sewist and you want to be on that raid train, message me and I'll check with them to see if it's full or not. Because all you do is you have like 45 minutes and you demo how to make something simple and cute during that raid train. And I think they're gonna try and do it every month. So it's a fun one because we just create something cute and fun that people can make. And then some people sell kits to make it. You usually have and then you can send a little kit with the instructions of how to do it, or you can just demo it live and then have them screenshot the instructions to make it themselves and sell the finished items, have your buy it now up. So yeah. So Don says, I follow a guy on YouTube that works for Microsoft and they often explore different AI apps to help you find things that will work. Some are free. Very cool. So that's a good resource. Yeah, so I've been using Canva. I use Chat GPT as well. I use that mostly to create like lists and to help me brainstorm ideas. So and honestly, here's a tip right here, you guys. One of my biggest tips on here is that you always have to be reassessing what you're doing and reassess what's working, what's not working, and make changes. I'm constantly my husband and I are constantly, okay, how did that show go? What was good? What was bad? What do we need to change? Do we even like this kind of show at all? So you always need to be reassessing and evaluating how your shows are going, change things up. You may do a complete 180 and change what you even sell. Because if what you're selling is not selling on this app, you may need to completely change what you sell. That's the honest truth, because you may come on here with the intention of, I'm going to sell X. And then a month in, you're like, this is not working. Everything I've tried is not working. Maybe it's your product idea for what you wanted to sell. It just isn't going to work. Okay. So be brutally honest with yourself if what you wanted to do just isn't working. And that's why I always tell people, don't go out as a new reseller and buy a bunch of crap. Always sell what you already have first to try and figure out what's going to work. And then slowly figure out what's going to work and then start making investments into what you're going to sell. Because if you're on here to sell, you already have something that you were going to sell, right? You already had some inventory, or you wouldn't even probably be on here. So work with what you already have first to figure that out so that you don't blow a bunch of money on something that's not going to sell. Okay? So that's probably something we should talk about more on, in our show tomorrow. Lisa says, June 1st, I'm in a crafty raid train making something patriotic. Very cool. Very cool. How old does fabric have to be before it's considered vintage? I use the same general rule that you use with everything else, which is, 20 years, then we consider it vintage. And, more than 50 is considered antique, I guess. I don't know. That always makes me laugh because it's like I am so vintage and I'm almost approaching antique. you know so yeah, yes, I need to revise my bloop listings because that ended yesterday, although I was able to bloop all day yesterday. So but that has ended. And to that feature that we're all sad about being gone, again, I talked a little bit about this a couple of shows ago. It really was, when it really comes down to it, it really was a programming issue when it comes to where can we put the most value for what we are able to program or not program. It really came down to that. The ability to gift has gone away. So you can no longer gift to chat or gift to other people. It was a well-loved feature. I loved it. I used it all the time. I'm very sad about it. It may come back, but it really was a matter of programming on the back end. How they originally programmed it was taking up too much bandwidth and too much expense to keep it running for the value that it added. So, and yes, I know they have new features coming. Be patient. And again, it's sunsetted for now. It may come back. Yes, Whatnot is still a baby, still growing. The growth is through the roof. The potential is still, it's still in its infancy. There's, huge potential still. So, yeah. Let's see. Anything else? I need to probably get going here pretty quick. Please bookmark the show tomorrow. Is there anywhere to send suggestions? So, yes. And honestly, the best place is to suggest them here because I have a direct place where I am allowed to put feedback that I get in these shows. So, those of us who are sellers on the community support team, we give direct feedback to the community team on Whatnot. And, but you can always send something through, seller support. I just don't know where those will end up. So anything that you want to give feedback on, good, bad, or just, I'd love to have this, put it here in the chat. I'll screenshot it. And then I have a way to give them direct things that we're hearing, things that people are requesting, glitches people are seeing, etc., etc. All right. So an on-off button for giveaways running would be helpful. What do you mean by on-off button? Let's see. Ask them to fix the next feature within the option. Run next. Yes, run next needs to be fixed. We've been asking that for forever. I don't know what the programming issue is with that. So let's see. Add something similar to ManyChat. Okay. All right. Let me screenshot those last few comments really quick before the chat goes up. All right, here we go. Screenshotting those. And thank you for doing that because it does really help for me to be able to have things to tell them. They love to hear what people love. They love to hear what people don't love because it really does help them decide. So that you don't have to run each individual giveaway, you turn it on or turn it off. Let me think about how that would work. So in other words, instead of having to open the giveaway and run it, you just turn giveaways on and it runs the next giveaway you have loaded. And then when it's done, you turn it off until you're ready. So just like an on-off switch instead of having to manually go in, open it, run it. Is that kind of what you're thinking? So yeah, I kind of like that idea too. That would be simple. You would definitely have to know which giveaways you have though, because if you have follower giveaways versus buyer giveaways, how would you differentiate which one you want to run next? So that's the only thing I can think of. I spent a lot of time trying to run next item. It kept going to the first item and right. Yeah, run next does not work. Let's see. Or even a timed giveaways every so many minutes it runs a giveaway. Oh, yeah, I like that idea. So if you're a person who likes to just have giveaways constantly running in the background, um, it's just automated. Yeah, I like that. Okay, screenshotted that. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Could add the request to make the tipping button more accessible without having to tap on the seller icon and leave the main screen. Yeah, so that depends on, so on like on my show right now, can you guys tap the promote? Because that's where it is on some time. That's where it is sometimes, right? On the boost or promote. Then otherwise you have to click the person's name to tip. And it used to be much more accessible, but they've added so many things to the screen. But I agree. I would like to be able to tip without, having to go through all of that. I agree. Okay. All right, let's see. I have a Chromebook and it will not let me see the website version of Whatnot. I'm trying to resurrect an old laptop to see the website. Yeah, Chromebook, I think, uses the same version that's available on like an iPad. So it's not the full web version. I agree. So yeah, you kind of have to have a laptop to see the web version. Promote is not on the right side menu. Let's see. On this, so like on the Android phone, it's on boost. So you click boost, and then that's where the tip is on Android. But on iPhone, I think you just have to click the person's name. So let me see. Yeah, well, it's me, so I can't click it. So it doesn't work. So you're on iPhone, yeah. I do like that I can swipe left to see the item being sold without comments in the front of them. That's very helpful when buying. I hope that helps. Yes, that has been nice to be able to swipe left to see the item without the comments. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go out and see who we can raid into. Um, Let me just see who's live see if there's anyone doing a community show. And if not, we'll find someone awesome to raid in fabric or crafts. Let's see. No one under the community category itself. Let me just see if anyone else that I follow is doing a community show. Doesn't look like it. All right, so let's see who's live in. Let's see. Oh wow, WMB mom is on for, she hasn't been on for a long time. She has good stuff. Let's see, we've got a couple of newer sellers in. Let's see. Let's go right into WMB mom because I haven't seen her on for a while and I like to support different sellers. So we're gonna go right into her. Let me just double check what she's doing for sure. Yeah, she's doing estate sell cottons. Okay, so that's where we're gonna go. And I appreciate you guys being here. And please bookmark the show for tomorrow if you want to be here, where I'll be in front of the camera. And you are so welcome. I hope it is helpful. And you know that I'm helping you all with good information. One of my former people that came into my shows about 7 months ago is Oh It's Bananas. I think it's 7 months. Maybe she's closer to a year, but she just made premiere the other day. I'm so thrilled for her. So Oh It's Bananas. Been on the app less than a year and she just hit premiere status and she's selling clothing. So she's rocking it. I'm so proud of her. All right, so here we go. Let's go right into WMB Mom. WM. All right, you guys have a wonderful day and we'll see you soon.